benefits of blockchain technology. So we will try to see how blockchain technology is benefiting the things across. So blockchain as an entity is having its own set of features, which is the likes of immutability, the likes of cost effectiveness, the likes of simplification of environment, the likes of transparency and auditability, and the faster transactions. So these are the few kind of benefits which blockchain offers. But then as we know, let's try to evaluate each of them very deeply. So as part of immutability aspect of it, blockchain is almost tamper proof. So the data which is there on blockchain is a tamper proof data, so which helps you to provide the kind of confidence among the users for sharing the information across the network using the cryptographic algorithm. So you can always ensure that the data stored is always be intact and it cannot be changed with any kind of intervention. So that's the first benefit. The second is the overall kind of simplification and the cost effectiveness which it offers. So your blockchain is the kind of cost effective solution which can help you to reduce the overall cost by eliminating any kind of intermediaries as a part of the blockchain. So you can implement smart contracts in blockchain and that will ensure that all your third parties, all your brokerage systems can be removed across. So that gives you the flexibility of being cost effective, and also it helps you to be amplifying the kind of simplicity in the overall network. So these are the two benefits which we have talked and discussed: immutability and simplification and cost effectiveness. Now let's try to evaluate transparency and auditability as a part of blockchain network. So how blockchain network helps you to get that across. So since blockchain is more of a distributed ledger record, so all the information get transmitted through all the nodes, which basically helps you to enhance the level of transparency and the level of trust into the system. So all the nodes can get the same copy of the data. So you can be rest assured that if there's any kind of tampering of data happens at any node, you can restore the data from the rest of the other nodes. So that ensures that it is almost tamper proof, and you can do the auditing of the audit and tracking of your data, where and how it got changed over a period of time. So that's the next benefit. Now let's try to see the faster transactions. So if you see blockchain as as an entity, it helps you to have a tracking done for the international transfers, or in a faster way, right? So if you do a online transfer specifically from one country to another, it take a couple of days specifically for transferring the money or the funds. So with the likes of blockchain technology, it can be done within few hours or few minutes to ensure the transactions are smoother and the transactions are more efficient. So your international transfers, which usually takes a couple of days in banks, because there are various banks to settle those things, and there are international foreign exchange rates which has to be looked upon. So those things can be eliminated, and there is a faster settlement of transactions as a part of the blockchain technology network. So that's the faster transaction element of it, which provides the overall benefit for blockchain technology. So we have immutability, simplification and the cost effectiveness, transparency and auditability, and the overall faster transaction for as a part of the blockchain network. So now let's try to see the overall challenges. So what are the challenges of the blockers for the blockchain technology adoption? So as we said and discussed, there are few challenges, which is the technological design flaws. So there were multiple cases, there are multiple discussions which has happened about the design flaws which are there in say smart contract or other kind of encryption technologies or terminology. So those has to be looked upon very critically. So your design flaws has to be completely removed, so that it can build more confidence among those users to adopt the blockchain most effectively. So industry, as we say, is still on the early adoption stages for blockchain, and these blockchain designs are still in the nascent stages. So there are those flaws which has to be rectified in say smart contract or other blockchain technology design flaws as well. So that's a first challenge. The next one is on the overall scalability part of it. So if blockchain has to be the kind of next wave or sensation to be used across the platform, the overall scalability of platform has to be built across. So the current platforms which we have, the likes of Ethereum, Ripple, or R3 Corda, so they have limited capabilities in terms of scalability, and there is always a dependency on the kind of network speed and the kind of user base it can support. So blockchain as a platform has to improve on the overall network speed and how the kind of user base can be supported further on top of it. So that is so these are the critical elements to be evaluated when we are referring to the scalability of the blockchain platform from the perspective of being a next generation sensation or next wave sensation. So scalability is the aspect which has to be looked upon critically. The next is the adaptability challenge. So blockchain, as we say, still faces some of those challenges in terms of mass adaptability, because people have their apprehension that there are involvement of criminal connections, specifically in some of those Bitcoin aspect, because most of the information is all hidden and there's no way you can track it back. So people have their own apprehensions whether that it's safe to use the blockchain networks and all. So that apprehensions or the perception has to be changed. Your expert consider and predict that obviously the anonymity feature of blockchain technology are used by some of those antisocial elements, and they become part of this network, which is not a good sign to be. So that also give some of those challenges in terms of adaptability by the industry players. There is no industry standards which are there in place currently, so you cannot genuinely segregate who is real genuine users or who are non-genuine users or fraudulent users with the wrong intention. So that kind of standards, industry standards, need to be built across when you are referring to the blockchain network. And the next challenge is the lack of adoption itself, because there are various countries, there are various industries, various sectors which they are not still open to the adoption of blockchain. So they need to be having that kind of mindset that if it is a real use case, you can certainly be open to the adoption of blockchain. So countries, governments, and industry needs to be supportive of this phenomena so that it can be a mass phenomena. And then the next challenger or blocker, as we see, is the lack of skill set. So there are seriously dearth of those skill sets which are required for creation of those blockchain apps, and who have the understanding of blockchain technology in terms of how it works and what are the nuances of it. So that skill sets are really limited, and that causes a big challenge or blocker. So as we say, blockchain is currently still in the initial phase of adoption. Hence, most of the organizations or individuals, they lack the required skill for setting up of the whole thing. So it's tough to find the blockchain developer, tough to find the blockchain architect or the business user who can give the right set of definitions for the overall blockchain network or framework. So these are the few challenges in terms of the technological design flaws, to the scalabilities, to the adaptability challenge, the lack of adoption, and the lack of skill set which is there in the overall blockchain network. So now, what are the kind of mistakes which can be avoided when you are implementing the blockchain network? So first and foremost is having the unrealistic expectations. So the stakeholders, when you are referring to, when you're talking to, so you should be very clear that there has to be a realistic expectation which has to be fed across when you are referring to the a blockchain technology. So your blockchain is certainly not a silver bullet for solving all kind of problems, but then yes, blockchain can help you to establish the trust in the environment and the ecosystem. So you need to be realistic in terms of setting the expectation with your stakeholder. The second mistake which should be avoided is underestimating the timelines and commitment, right? So you should not be giving the overcommitment, and you should not be underestimating the timeline, because when you're trying to implement blockchain solution, it is a time consuming aspect, right? Because there are very few limited use cases which are under the productionized version of implementation of blockchain because of the limited skills and resources. So blockchain, if you're trying to invest, it might take a longer time, it might take a longer gestation time, and overall implementation time as well. So underestimating the time commitment is again one of the mistake which should be avoided upfront. And being impatient fellow in terms of carrying out the task of implementation, that can also lose few jobs as well, right? So blockchain, when you're trying to implement, right, most of the top management team, they want the results to be delivered in a faster way, right? So you cannot be impatient in terms of showcasing that yes, blockchain will be able to solve these problems within say 4 months, 3 months of implementation of project. No, it cannot work in that way, right? So you need to be patient in terms of understanding and hearing and trying to give the time to the technology to solve some of those problems, because some of those problems are really systemic problems rather than blockchain specific issues. So we need to be patient when you're trying to carry out those blockchain implementation. And obviously the organization change management strategies which are associated with rolling out, so that has to be critically looked very carefully. So some of the time organization try to implement blockchain technology, but then they're not looking it from the perspective of organization change management. They just try to see it from the perspective of technology adoptions, which is not a right approach. So you need to consider blockchain as one of those digital technology which is having a wider impact. So your organization change management aspect had to be considered thoroughly, and your right set of people has to be involved, so that the OCM practices which is required for establishing should be put upfront. So your OCM and the kind of overall change management has to be dealt in great depth after talking to the business and HR leaders specifically. So these are the kind of mistakes which should be avoided when you're trying to implement the blockchain technology. So having unrealistic expectation, underestimating the time commitment, being impatient, or not following the organization change management policies or practices associated with it. So these are the mistakes which should be avoided when you're trying to implement the blockchain technology. So now let's try to do a bit of conclusion, as we call it. Obviously, as we call it out, blockchain is one of those few innovative technology which have the capability of changing the course of history. So we call it as one of those discoveries or inventions which can certainly change the course of history. And blockchain after internet is one of those enabling technologies for the business as well. So we have seen the use cases of blockchain in each and every walks of industry, or each and every walks of life. So blockchain has to be critically evaluated from that perspective. Also, as we say, the way in which internet has changed the way the business used to be, business used to happen in late 90s or early 2000s. Similarly, with the likes of blockchain technology, it can help you to change the way in which you do the business, because blockchain acts as a basic fabric of establishing the trust between different entities and the parties. So the way in which you do a business can certainly also be impacted because of the blockchain technology. So it can impact all kind of industries, starting from healthcare, supply chain, financial sector, manufacturing, and so on and so forth. The next thing is, obviously blockchain is still in the nascent stages of adoption, with lots and lots of investment being pumped in. So there are billions of dollars which are getting invested in blockchain technology in its proof of concepts, or the kind of projects which is being there. So we need to be still looking at what is the silver lining coming out of it. So that's how it is still in the early stages of adoption. And the last one, as we call it, is blockchain in combination with other digital technologies such as cloud computing, IoT, AI, ML can certainly bring more transformation to the world. So it is blockchain as one of the technology combined with the other digital technologies can give you a better, far stretched result as compared to the usage of blockchain itself.